So we're ready for the start of play here at Seagulls Stadium tonight. And there's the whistle to get things underway. A big, long kick downfield. And it'll be taken back there by Lenane. Lenane bringing it up to, or rather getting it away over there net to New. And New will be put down just short of the quarter line. New in for Brad Mackay. And that, of course, is not going to help the St George chances here tonight.
Brad Mackay's been in great form this year, and he's played well for New South Wales, and also in that debut match for Australia. Brad Mackay will be sorely missed.
And now that's Fafita.
One feature, Bill, that David New does possess in his game is a good kicking game, and that'll be an advantage to them. Here it is now.
Yes, he puts it deep downfield. Waiting back there and jumping underneath it is Peter Benson. He starts to move very quickly. Mark Coyne's up on top of him. Walford coming into the tackle also. So it'll be Gold Coast at this stage with Clinton Moore. About 20 metres short of the halfway mark.
Interesting, Bill, that Clinton Moore has signed a contract. Well, he just needs to sort a few things out, I think, to go across and play an off-season with Fulham. Coach over there is, of course, Ross Strudwick, and Strudwick has been in quite a bit of poaching, if you like, of Australian players in his recent visit back here to Australia.
Well, he's made no secret of the fact he'd like to turn the Fulham team into a totally Australian team.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting situation where he is allowed to have as many Australians on his books or international players. Like, here's the Gold Coast on the break.
Yes, and he gets it pass outside. Coming back inside over there will be Searle. And eventually the defence catching up with them over there, and the final tackle is on its way now. It notes the changeover. So it'll be St George in possession, deep inside their own territory. So taking it back over there is Kelly. He gets it up to just about on the quarter line. You're saying, David, there's some quality players in this St George lineup.
Well, there's no doubt about that, Bill. On paper, they look quite tidy, but they don't always do the right thing. A couple of panic passes, and there's one there.
Yeah, losing the ball. Gibbs went at it originally. And the referee has found a knock-on in there.
So look at it again. One of the problems that St George have had is just pushing that pass deep inside their own territory. Fafita tries to pass. Penalty here going to the Gold Coast for obstruction on one of the players trying to come through. There's that flick out the back again. It looks to me like St George are going to chance their arm tonight. And in doing that, they've made 2 errors.
And there's the kick, no doubt about it, straight through the centre. First points on the board. The Gold Coast leading St George by 2 points to 0. And while we're talking about results, we might bring you the results of a couple of matches here tonight. Firstly, the Commonwealth Bank Cup. Earlier this afternoon, it was a semi-final. And St John's College from Woodlawn defeated St Mary's of Toowoomba by 34 points to 8. And they're a pretty good side, David Ford, if you did the match, and they go into the final now.
Yes, they play another great Commonwealth Bank Cup side in St Gregory's, Campbelltown, and that final will be on Friday week at the Parramatta Stadium and will be seen on 10 at 7:30 on that night before Friday night football.
Which is great. So the young fellas will get some prime time television. Reserve grade match tonight. A win for St George. They defeated the Gold Coast team by 18 points to 6.
And here's a familiar sequence, Bill. The Gold Coast, after getting points on the board so often, we've seen this year making an error deep inside their own territory and allowing their opponents to apply the pressure.
Waiting for the scrum feed now by Lenane. It's right on the quarter line. Dropping off the back of the scrum that time was Peter Gill. This is Ricky Walford juggling it, taking it, going for the corner and scoring the first try of the match.
Well, Ricky Walford has had a horror season with injury. The hamstring has caused him a great deal of problems. He was selected for New South Wales, and this is why. Beautiful little set piece, or not necessarily a set piece, from the base of the scrum, but it worked for them. Gill stepped off. Lenane was on the outside there. Beautiful quick hands by Lenane. Ricky Walford, the juggling act, dashes down the wing, breaks a couple of tackles. St George immediate points.
From Peter Gill there to give the extra man over. A marvellous juggling act from Ricky Walford there. He's got to be right in line for one of the Kangaroo touring spots here, David, as we see another replay of just how well Walford did. He had very little room to move here.
Well, it does show the difficulty these days of defending at the base of the scrum there with the backs further back now, and the work by lock forward and halfback. It's pretty hard to defend against on a whitish blind.
It certainly is. Whilst you've got your 5'8", and every other back for that matter, standing 5 metres back from the scrum, and if you get a scrum as we just saw there, which was only about 10 or 12 metres in from the sideline, it really does open up an attacking opportunity. It gives you at least a gap of 7 or 8 metres if the lock or halfback picks it up to move before they confront any defence. And if you get a man over where lock forwards are really intent on moving wide most of the time to cover the open side, the opportunities are endless.
Ricky Walford's 12th try in 13 matches for St George. St George leading the Gold Coast by 4 points to 2. So St George in possession, some 24 metres out from their own line as Ricky Walford gets up and plays it. Back over there to Shane Kelly taking it up. Just talking about Ricky Walford and the Kangaroo Tour. There's a lot of quality wingers about at the moment. Will be launching claims.
They sure will, Bill. And of course the Australian side for next Sunday week's test match against New Zealand, the one-off test match, is selected I think tomorrow night, the Australian side. And one fellow that will have to come into contention for one of those wing spots, and is a pretty hot tip as well, Michael Hancock, and he had a week off last week, but will sure to be in the Broncos side tomorrow against Penrith.
So it's the Gold Coast in possession, 25 metres out from their own line as Paul Shaw scoops it up, sends it outside to Benson. He's put to the ground quite heavily on this occasion, led off in the tackle there by Peter Gill and also Shane Kelly. So they fire it out again. This time it's Durham taking it up. Cut-out pass on that occasion as it came across there from Paul Shaw. So the Gold Coast trailing by a couple of points. They're Shaw away from dummy half. He goes down about 10 metres short of that halfway mark. So Gibbs will send it back. They fling it across field. Benson to kick it downtown on the final tackle. Ball rolling about on that quarter line. Eventually going to be picked up by Potter.
Well, a lot of St George support here, as we said, Bill, and they immediately call for the Gold Coast for being inside the 5 metres and in front of the kicker, and I think a penalty was warranted. David Gaynor being somewhat lax.
So taking it up this time is Kelly, but he has lost the ball. Gold Coast have got it. So they work it out this time.
There's the replay. Kelly, one of the stronger players, but still not being able to prevent the ball being stolen. Chance for the Gold Coast.
Charging his way up over there this time is Phil Daly. Dummy half is Clinton Moore. Shaw getting it outside this time. That's Whitbread. Whitbread about 25 metres out from the St George line. Shaw again. Flicks it across field. Plenty of St George defence on the final tackle though. Back to Paul Shaw again. He's going to put it up this time. Nice high kick. McCarthy's coming through, but it's eventually going to be taken back there by Michael Beattie.
Nicely taken by Beattie as well. He was under quite a bit of pressure. There's the high kick. Paul Shaw put it up nicely. Once again, I thought those players were well in front of Paul Shaw, and Beattie took it well under pressure.
There's some good Gold Coast defence there. Driving his way through was Durham. And that's Goulet. Spring takes it up this time for St George. 25 metres out from his own line. Lost it? Yes, they have. It's a Gold Coast ball. Coming away with it is Chris Close. 2 occasions now he's been able to steal the ball for this Gold Coast side. That's Benson. Flicks it back inside. Ross working across field. Got to be put down just inside the quarter line. So from the play, the ball Shaw will send it back to Grogan. He props, tries to cut back inside, but losing the footing. Shaw again. Daly turning it back the other way this time. But the defence eventually of David New comes in. So now across to Searle. Searle charging his way through there. He'll be put over on the final tackle, some 12 metres short of the St George line, and he's got a penalty out of that one.
Well, St George giving away silly penalties. Trevor Bailey complaining. He felt that it was milked, but there's no turning back now. There's Searle. Now, that was a good, strong run. Put St George defence under pressure. There's Bailey in there, lying all over the tackle player.
It's the view that the touch judges will be looking at right now. No trouble. 2 points on the board for the Gold Coast. And it's all tied up at 4 apiece at the Seagulls Stadium as Coach Craig Young tried to come up with a winning formula. Here's the restart of play. That's Durham. Good for Gibbs. And he's lost the football. So one less possession for the Gold Coast.
They might have an advantage at the moment, but he cannot afford to simply surrender possession and another penalty. And really the Gold Coast have only themselves to blame to date. Errors immediately from the kickoff and then compounded, one by a try from a scrum, now a penalty right in front.
There's the kick from Walford. He struck it well. The Dragons back in the lead at the Seagulls Stadium. They lead by 6-4.
You're right, David. Michael Searle came on the field with that right hamstring, it would appear, very, very heavily strapped, and he's in trouble out there. And if he would come off, I would suggest that Billy Johnson, who, of course, is the skipper, has been the skipper of the Gold Coast this season, would come on in his place with Whitbread going back the second row. Of course, that would give Billy Johnson the opportunity to play against his former club.
Well, he's got that to do in the next 2 or 3 weeks, hasn't he, Tony, with Canterbury coming up as well?
Yes, Canterbury, and also the other game that the Seagulls play is Canberra, the Premier. So in probably Billy Johnson's last 3 games of the season, his 2 former clubs and the Premier. So not a bad way to finish a career.
Well, we're saying to him today, Searle limps back into position. Fast approaching 300 first-grade games as Billy Johnston. He's given every club great service. Now Clinton Moore coming in from the wing to effect the tackle. And there he is, Billy Johnston. Was the captain of the side earlier in the year. And has worn the colours of this new club the most since they came in 1988. 56 first-grade games. As New made the break. Backing up was Bailey. That's a superb pass for Lanane. And he's taken on the quarter line on the final tackle. A little kick through by Beattie. The chase is on. Searle was back there. He's lost the football. Play on. A chance for St George. And they're only a couple of metres out. Gourlay, close to the line. His strength can't get him over the line. Bailey goes to dummy half. They're set deep to the left, St George. After that quick play the ball, Lanane through the dummy and slipped over. Bailey looking for the options on either side. Decides to go left with Spring. McGill got the pass away. Good ball movement. New held in the tackle, looping around. Here's another chance. Ricky Walford, will he get it? That's his 100th point for the season, Ricky Walford.
What a good try by St George. It all started with the big fellow Spring in midfield, was able to stand in a tackle. Once you do that, you've got to change the point of the attack as quickly as you possibly can. St George did it nicely. Have a look at Spring. Bang up the middle, pops it back. Bailey fires it up again. Lanane was in there now. Lanane wraps here as well. There's New. He needs support. Lanane had come around him. And then the quick hands. Fires it out to Coyne. Coyne just has to take a couple of paces. Momentum probably would have put him across, but he just ran to close and handed it off to Walford.
Yes, there's a couple of crucial points in this try here, David. Of course, that pass there, which was got away, and when New got the ball, he held it up. He drew 2 or 3 players into him, which created an automatic overlap on the side there. You're quite correct. We could have seen Mark Coyne score himself, but unselfishly put it out to Ricky Walford, and probably helping Ricky Walford's kangaroo chances to no end.
Yeah, 13 tries he scored now for the season. And it really was clever play here. Good ball movement, and Coyne was totally unselfish. Walford becomes the 5th player as Searle receives attention and registers 100 points for the season in the Winfield Cup. He can't add any further to it, and the Gold Coast are trailing here at the Seagulls Stadium by 10 points to 4.
There's the restart of play, and that change has been effected now with Billy Johnston coming on and Michael Searle leaving the field. Here's Tony.
It's too late, because if we remember back the 6 tackles before St George scored that try, the player that really did fumble the ball on the line was Michael Searle, and I wonder if a fit Michael Searle would have done the same thing.
Although I also wonder, Tony, if he hadn't been injured, if he'd been hanging around that far back. Anyway, it's St George in possession, in control at the moment by 10 points to 4. There's a loose ball. Clinton Moore loses it again, and eventually it's going to be dived on by Michael Beattie.
Here it is again. I've got no doubt St George have decided they're going to throw caution to the wind in this match, and it's certainly paying dividends thus far. They've got 2 tries, both scored by that man, Ricky Walford. But they have certainly been prepared to take chances inside their own quarter, not always coming off, but putting enough pressure on the coast in their defensive department to apply a bit of pressure to them.
Trevor Bailey up there as dummy half. He'll keep it going away to Lanane, then outside to Kelly. And there's Gibbs coming in, but eventually goes to ground. Final tackle. So this is New working away. He's got a pretty good step on him, this fellow. A left foot kicked outfield as Benson is back there. Decides to run it out. Well, he ran across field and actually going to be put down 10 metres inside his own half of the field.
Interesting, Bill, if the Gold Coast changed their tactic now with Paul Shaw still acting in a dummy half position, but now with Billy Johnston on there, I would think they'd be better served with Johnston reverting to the dummy half.
So Shaw gets it outside this time to Durham. Play the ball very quickly, coming up to that halfway mark. Billy Johnston kicks it downfield. Going back there is Potter. It'll just bounce into the in-goal area. Potter runs it out. Johnston comes at him. He gets away from him. Now he sets sail up the centre. And still going up there. This is a nice run. Good work there by the fullback.
Well, some might be critical of Billy Johnston there for missing the tackle, but it wouldn't have hurt to have a little bit of support from his own teammates. He kicked the ball downfield and chased, but what you need is a straight line and plenty of support. The Gold Coast not giving that. There's the missed tackles, and that's a problem for them. 10-2 Seagulls.
So we have a scrum to pack down 10 metres inside Gold Coast territory. Gibbs trying to knock, attempting to cut it off, knock the ball down. So we'll wait for Lanane to feed. And St George leading by 10 points to 4. Over to New. New in turn with the pass outside over there to Mark Coyne.
A couple of brothers, teammates there, and Robert Grogan and Coyne clashing as they were in that successful brothers premiership side in '87.
So from the play the ball, taking it up this time is Kelly. Kelly's going to be held up 30 metres out from the Gold Coast line. Back to Lanane, to New. Turns it back inside, that's for Fafita. He can't get the pass away. Running up there is Trevor Barty. Lanane has a drop shot at goal.
Touched in flight. It was touched in flight and therefore off a Gold Coast player. You see the referee signal by touching his hands above his head as he does there. And it was just touched there by Chris Close. And you can see the referee signalling that. Therefore, has not been put over the post by the attacking side, but more to the point by the defending side. It's been put dead by the defending side and they'll be forced to goal line drop out.
And that they do. As we wait there for Peter Benson to let it go.
Might be the week of the field goal, Bill. We saw 4 in the match last night, the 12-all draw between Parramatta and Newcastle, 2 by each side. And here's St George having a shot themselves.
And St George just inside the quarter line now.
Michael O'Connor knocked one over today too in Manly's victory.
So New gets it outside to Goulet. But he's wrapped up there by the defence. Away from dummy half, Trevor Bailey. Trying to work his way through, but he's pulled to the ground in the tackle of Grogan. So Spring turns his back on the defence, gets it back behind. Gill eventually ends up with it. Fafita loses it. They're all having a chop at it. The referee will find several knock-ons in there, I would imagine.
John Fafita was the first defender and his hands have often let him down, but he was under enormous pressure there. Peter Gill popped the pass up, put him under that sort of pressure, no chance to handle.
So in by Shaw, gets it across to Benson. Benson well wrapped up though, as we saw Peter Gill get out of that scrum and quickly get across to knock him over. Billy Johnston to dummy half. St George leading by 10 points to 4. Back to Johnston. He in turn gets it away to McCarthy. McCarthy put to ground 20 metres out from his own line. And now it's the Seagulls attempting to ruck it out. Johnston up there again. And making good work of it on this occasion. Keeping it going nicely. Round the corner. This is Ross with it now. What's he going to do? He stopped away from the fullback. He's going to score in the corner. Coming at him very smartly near the end was Walford, but couldn't cut him off and in for the try.
Chris Close having the best game I've seen for him for at least 12 months, if not longer. Brett French linked up nicely. Mark Ross finished it off. He's little in and away, really confused the defence. But it all started with this man, Chris Close. A great charging run. Busts up, stands up the defence. Brett French around the corner. Mark Ross picks it up on his fingertips. Billy Johnston tried to support. There's a little in and away there by Mark Ross. He bamboozled the defence. He races away.
So it's a good play all round there on that try, and good work there by Ross as he left Michael Potter sprawling up there. Now it's Peter Benson.
Tries have been a premium this year for the Gold Coast side, Billy, with that 6th try makes him the leading try scorer for the club this year.
Right, here's the kick now by Benson. Let's have a look at it. No, nowhere near it, as a matter of fact. It's waved away. The score remains St George leading the Gold Coast by 10 points to 8.
It's Billy Johnston now in a dummy on the field for the injured Michael Searle. Shaw calling for an open side. Johnston runs from dummy half and put the head down and took it to within 1 metre of the halfway line. Gives a dummy half now, moving it across to Grogan. He threw the dummy and then unloaded the football. Ball's gone forward and the referee has allowed play to go on.
One of the difficulties referees having the referee back on the defensive line find it difficult to detect those marginal knock forwards.
Final tackle now for the Coast. Benson just pops it over Walford's head and the ball rolls into touch.
Better. That's at least allows a chance now for the Coast to apply a bit of real pressure when they are defending. At least they're going to force St George to play the ball fairly close to the ruck, being inside their own territory.
So the first 33 minutes has produced 3 excellent tries, 2 to Ricky Walford and 1 to Mark Ross. And St George just enjoy that slender lead at the moment. That's Lenane. Bailey is the dummy half. That's Kelly. Now midway between the half and the quarter at St George's end of the ground. New served the pass up for Beattie. And good defence by McCarthy, who wrapped him up ball and all. Whitbread came in as well. New away for Goulet. And there's some very solid defence going in out there. Ready for the downtown now with Lenane. Oh, that's a good kick.
Well, McCarthy shakes his head, telling the referee that he didn't touch it, even though he stuck his foot out. He tried to. But here it is. There's the kick. And McCarthy signalling immediately to the referee, didn't touch it, and the referee agrees.
Sure to feed the scrum. 10 metres inside Gold Coast end of the ground. In from the blind wing is Moore. Tonight playing against his old club. Stephen Moore spent 2 seasons with the Dragons. And was a member of that victorious Panasonic Cup side in 1988. When the Brisbane connection paved the way for that victory that night, David. In particular, Peter Gill, if I remember, was the man of the match in that, and the man of the series.
Yes, those players certainly settled in pretty well to senior football, or to Sydney football, I should say. Moore has decided to get a little bit closer to home. Peter Gill has just re-signed with St George. They're very happy with the style of play he produces, and also the style of guy he is. He's a good operator, Peter Gill, and pretty handy club man.
Was close down injured. And the Gold Coast working up to within about 5 of halfway. Johnston is the dummy half. Cuts out Daly and gave it to Durham. Movement on the bench, Tony.
Chris Close has just had a whack, Fordo, so he's coming off, going into the head bin, and Dave Chapman in jersey number 27 of fresh reserve is coming on for the Gold Coast. A penalty there to the Gold Coast, Fordo.
And he's pushed it to the right. And Walford brings it out. Potter. Back in the top grade after spending 3 weeks in reserve grade when young Darren South came on, and well, he bombed up with 2 tries in those 3 games, South, but he played in reserve grade tonight, David.
Yes, well, Potter, quite an experienced player, and we saw a little while ago the benefits that he has in running the football back. Billy Johnston there on one occasion and ran it back something like 40 metres.
Well, Mick Potter's a player that's been plagued with injury, Wally, but he played such a vital role in that Canterbury victory back in the mid-80s, and he's just been someone you'd sympathise with in recent weeks, I think, with the injuries that you've had.
Yes, well, I'm not really sure whether I'm sympathising with him at all, David. Of course, he's the bloke that I broke my arm tackling when we played St George, so I'm not really all that keen to wish him all the best. But he certainly is a very good player, has had a recent return to form. Of course, in the days when he was with Canterbury Bankstown, he showed, I don't think I'm nasty in saying that, I think he showed a lot more form in those days, and If he can return to those days of glory, then the St George supporters would be very, very happy, because he certainly was an exciting return of kick ball carrier. And when he was bringing the ball up, I know that a lot of opposition coaches always used to try and map out a plan of defence against him.
Here's the Gold Coast on the boil. Whitbread got it away. The pass is not a good one. It's taken by Ross. He came back infield, was looking for support but couldn't find it. It's the final tackle for the Gold Coast side. They're camped inside their own half. Johnson had a second thought. Kicked it downfield by Ross. Chapman, in fact, it was that put the ball down, and it's now with Potter. McCarthy very involved in defence tonight. They wrapped him up 12 short of halfway. That's Beattie with that leg heavily strapped. Now Kelly. Some good defence going in there from the Gold Coast. Bailey, Lenane, Fafita. And McCarthy was up very, very quickly in defence again.
Well, John Fafita is often criticised for his handling, and that was another occasion there in possession that time. His quick hands though by St George to try and create an overlap. Gibbs certainly put paid to that, but Fafita really tries the impossible on a lot of occasions, puts himself and his teammates under pressure.
That's a splendid kick from Steve Lenane. As the clock ticks down towards half-time here at the Seagulls Stadium.
There's Lenane, just got himself enough room to get the kick in and punched it at the touchline. Found touch 20 metres out.
Paul Shaw to feed the scrum for the Gold Coast inside their own quarter. Struggled to maintain possession, but did it. Whitbread away for more. Oh, that's a great tackle. Peter Gill on his old brother's teammate. Now Shaw. Search for the opening and pinched about 8 or 9 valuable metres. Johnston does the same. Good play from Johnston, keeping the roll, and has caught St George up inside the 5.
Started with Paul Shaw, the little dash out of dummy half. St George found it difficult to recover from that, and then Johnston was going exactly for that, to try and force the penalty. He got what he was after, and now with the half-time hooter sounding, Troy McCarthy can look for touch, and then they're allowed one more play.
Well, let's see what their tactics will be. McCarthy coming up as the to take the tap, and he'll probably hoist it high. He's done just that. Pressure on Potter. It's loose on the ground. Johnston did well. Supporters there for the Gold Coast. Can they keep it alive? They've kicked it forward. A speculator. It's been knocked on. What a way that would have been to finish the first half. 3 tries in the first 40 minutes. The Dragons lead the Seagulls by 10 points to 8. Back at the Seagulls Stadium in just a moment.
Paul Shaw out of the dummy half role, sticking back at half-back, because whilst he's in a dummy half there, their back line is one player short, and that can mean anything up to 10 yards wider across the field that they can cover with that extra player. It certainly makes it a lot easier for the St George players to cover, and they really do have some talented players out there. As we've seen, Troy McCarthy is making a few holes for Brett French out wide, and there's nobody better in the game than Brett French at hitting a gap out wide. And they've got some quite talented wingers out there as well in Moore and Ross, as we've already seen tonight. And with Peter Benson chiming in, I believe that's where they've got to play the game. Just get the forwards to do a little bit of the work and leave the easy work for the backs.
Wally Lewis joining us here tonight at Seagulls Stadium. By the way, if you're out of the show anytime this week, we have the Wally Lewis calendars, which are available. They're only $10, and they're at the Brisbane Broncos stand and also the Brisbane Bullets stand. There's some great colour shots there from Rugby League Week, and all the details there from Tony Durkin.
Here's a refreshing start for a half of a match by the Gold Coast, and that is for them not to incur an error in the early minutes. Instead, they've come up with a penalty for the St George side being inside the 5 metres, and a chance for Gold Coast to get out of their own half, and I'm sure they'll enjoy that. And as Wally Lewis was saying, that gives the opportunity to utilise what is a pretty handy back line.
See Chris Post back there onto the field, but any other changes there, Tony?
change in the Seagulls side, in the St George side, Bill, I'm sorry. 49, Paul Osborne is on for Shane Kelly. I asked Shane Kelly why he was replaced. I can't repeat what he said, but he wasn't very happy and obviously wasn't given a reason for his replacement. Craig Young, not a happy coach at all. He wants bigger hits in defence from his side, but all reports from the St George dressing room, Craig Young certainly not a happy coach. Bob McCarthy, conversely, was pretty pleased with the way his side played. Particularly pleased, as Wally Lewis suggested, with his backline play. They're going to hit it hard up the forwards initially and then spread it wide. And I asked them about the dummy half situation. Billy Johnson and Paul Shaw will swap around from dummy half.
So there's the kick through. It's going to be taken back there by Ricky Walford.
Gee, it was well read there by Ricky Walford as well. The chip over the top seemingly going into space, but Walford had just held back marginally and covered it nicely.
That's Goulet taking it up to about 8 metres inside Gold Coast territory. This is Osborne. He was going all right until the big shoulder charge came in there and very quickly slowed him down. So now St George working it around. That is Spring. He's put over some 18 metres inside the Gold Coast half of the field. So Lenane across over there to Gill. Gill popping it over the top, and it's going to be picked up nicely over there by Beattie. Beattie still going, gets it back inside, over the top, back to Beattie now. Beattie going for that line. He's pulled down just short of it. And a penalty.
Double movement it is. Beattie must have been grounded in the field of play. And David Gaynor has not missed it. He's right on the spot. Here it is again. Beattie had taken the inside pass, tries to spin around. And, well, he certainly projected the ball forward. He actually, he must have actually got it onto the try line for the referee to decide it was a double movement. There's penalty 6-1. But he didn't seem to be totally effectively held at the time either.
Looks as though he's lost his boot down there. Don't tell me he moves that quickly. He's run out of his shoe.
How embarrassing.
Might have to get someone to go out and do it for him. So waiting for play to resume. Referee.
Would you hold my whistle while... Here he is, he's right.
Tell you what, I think Michael Beattie would tell him where to put his whistle after that. Going to find touch just short of the line.
It's a good big day for David Wright, hasn't it, Ben?
Well, he's been breathing all day. It's an achievement. So now let's get down to business. The Gold Coast trailing by 2 points, St George leading by 10-8. But the Seagulls in possession now, as Paul Shaw tries to find a hole up the centre, but he's had a go at that on a couple of occasions tonight and hasn't come out. That's Phil Daly. He gets up to the halfway mark. Now this is the plan that Bob McCarthy was looking for. Forwards to take it up and then get it out to those backs. Let's see how it works out. To Robert Grogan. Kick downfield. Going back there is Potter. It'll carry into the in-goal area. Grogan's up there chasing him. Dives at him, pulls him down, and that's a good kick and chase game there by the 5'8". So away from dummy half this time is Williams. Dummy half waiting there is Trevor Bailey. To Spring. Spring will work it up to just short of the quarter line. Trevor Bailey back to Fafita. He's pulled to the ground in the tackle of Chris Close. So now they swing it back to David New. New with the kick upfield. And Benson is back there to take it. He'll run it out. Goulet comes at him and a nice tackle there to put him over. Coming half Troy McCarthy. Slipped under the arm of Goulet.
Very important stage in the match this. Both sides attempting to control the ball as best they can. Both have looked to kick downfield after about 4 or 5 tackles. So both sides now just looking for an error to gain the upper hand.
Here's Shaw again up the centre. 5 metres short of the halfway mark. Billy Johnston to dummy half. St George leading by 10 points to 8. Durham. Final tackle now. Back over to Grogan. Grogan with the kick through. Taken well back there by Williams. That was flying along pretty well when he took it.
And significant too, because had the ball got past him, which is what Robert Grogan was attempting to do, there's another 15 or so metres there that could have pinned St George inside their own territory and deep inside their own territory. Now they've got a chance through this facet of play to work it up to the halfway. Whoops, there's the error.
Yes, it was Osborne getting it outside to Gill, and he's lost the ball.
Now that's the one the Gold Coast are looking for. Possession now inside St George's territory. There's the pass up by Osborne, a short one. Perhaps just fired a little bit too hard. You've got to pop those up. Give that close, fast runner plenty of chance to receive the ball.
Dropping off the back of the scrum. Over there is Ron Gibbs. Out to Grogan. Grogan put down there. Away from dummy half this time is Benson. Chased over there by Trevor Bailey. And a penalty.
And Osborne will be lucky just to stay around here on this particular one. Thoroughly uncalled for, undisciplined. Osborne telling Billy Johnson to get out of it, but Osborne should just forget about it. Now play it down, well and truly held, and over the top in a flopping action. Peter Benson back on his feet. Troy McCarthy, it's his third game in the centres, and he's kicked 2 from 4 so far this season. So 50-50 record.
So waiting now for the shot at goal by McCarthy. Moving back to just have one last look before he lines up. And taking plenty of time is Troy McCarthy. He's a fairly accomplished kicker. There's a head-on shot. That will give you an idea of what's happening. McCarthy moves in, looking for the equaliser, and he has done it. So it's dead set level, 10-all between the Gold Coast and St George.
Now Spring. Durham went over the top. Lenane. Osborne. That's good defence. Quickly to his feet. Switch of play, Lenane. There's the kick. That'll get Moore scurrying back inside his own quarter. The ball will beat him into touch.
That's a good kick by Lenane. The St George side have not seen much territory inside the Gold Coast quarter in the second half. Lenane has punched it down there. Loose head and feet to the Gold Coast, but at least St George with a chance to try and force a kick early in the count.
And let's go to the sideline. I believe some news on Michael Beattie, Tony.
Yes, and it's not good news, David, for the St George captain. The report from the St George dressing room, unconfirmed at this stage, is that Michael Beattie has a fractured cheekbone. So that certainly is bad luck for the St George skipper, who really has had a season full of trauma.
Yeah, he certainly has. He took over the captaincy back in round 4, but things haven't worked out well for him, with injuries sustained right throughout the season. And to lose players of the calibre of Brian Johnston earlier in the year and then lose Michael Beattie for a lot of the season, David, it makes it very difficult for a coach and the rest of the St George side.
Well, it does. I guess we've got a game here that is going to wear players down. It's the depth and the ability of the club to overcome those injuries that really decides the success or otherwise of the season.
Final tackle. The kick by McCarthy will turn Williams around. He decides to run the football out. Grogan came at him, so did French, and French wraps him up.
So at this stage, it's 10-all at the Seagulls Stadium here, as we see the ball getting across over there to Ricky Walford. Now the Gold Coast battled away down here to keep St George inside their own quarter, and then lost the ball and ended up way down inside their own quarter. See what they can do this time. As Osborne tries to take it up, but he works across field. He goes backwards. He loses ground. He gets hunted towards the touchline.
The crowd love it.
I think they do. I'm sure they do. So back inside to Spring. Spring to the quarter line. He gets it away to Walford, but they wrapped him up. Billy Johnson did some good work there. Final tackle, so the kick downfield. Going across over there to take it is Mark Ross. Down to Clinton Moore. Moore starting to put on the pace. He got away from Williams. Fafita comes at him, tackles him, doesn't put him in a touch though. Dummy half is French.
That's why they'd like to see him at fullback. Does give him an opportunity with that extra bit of room to move to make something of it. He showed some blistering speed to get around the number 5.
So back over there to Shaw, outside to Billy Johnston. In turn to Choppy close. He's going to be wrapped up over there though. From the play the ball. Out it goes to McCarthy. Claps on the pace, tries to find a way through. But it's going to be wrapped over. They were almost left without a dummy half on that occasion.
And that wasted a tackle too. That's brought up the 6th tackle now.
Here's the kick going up there by Shaw. Gill has lost it. It's going to be a Gold Coast ball. This is Grogan. Grogan's going to be in for a try. Yes.
The Gold Coast come up with the points. A little bit of luck came with it, but it was a bit of pressure put on team from the high kick. It was the 6th tackle. Up went the high ball. Grogan was there to pick up the dregs, but initially a mistake. I think Peter Gill was back there attempting to take it, and some good pressure put on by the Gold Coast. Shaw hoists it, whacks it right up in the air. Ronnie Gibbs coming through to put a bit of pressure on, and this guy, his presence puts pressure on. The ball was knocked back. Grogan picks it up brilliantly on the fingertips, and just enough pace to get away from Mark Coyne.
There's the Gold Coast team showing a lot more keenness here, David, more than St George. It really was resembling a game of chess here. As we see the ball put up, there's a number of St George players missing in action here, whereas Seagulls had 4 or 5 players around about the ball. And for the last 10 or 15 minutes, or the last 5 or 10 minutes, it really has been a case of whoever was going to make the next break really was going to go on with the game.
Well, 2 tries last week for Robert Grogan. He comes up with his 3rd in the space of 2 weeks. And what a crucial one it is. And he showed great skills, David.
And after that try was scored, the referee once again called out Paul Osborne. And he's doing cartwheels to Seagull. I'm not surprised. Here's the kick by McCarthy. It's on its way. It's going to be waved away, though. So the score is the Gold Coast 14, St George are 10. Yeah. Back at Seagulls Stadium, we see the Gold Coast team in possession, some 30 metres out from their own line. So back to Shaw, and a knock on in there.
Uh-oh, here's trouble for the Gold Coast now. Midfield scrum for the Dragons, just the chance they want. Billy Johnson screaming at his teammates. He wants that little bit extra effort.
So wait for the scrum to go down with Linane to feed. He'll take it out. David New zipping across the back. There's a bit of problem coming up, although Clinton Moore did come in there. Looked like a gap was going to open up. The dummy half up there is Potter. He sends it back to Osborne. Gibbs is there to put him down. So Bailey gets it away to Goulet. Goulet out of a couple of high ones.
I have to guess who one of them was, and that was Daly. He's been involved in 2 on the trot.
So away from dummy half, Bailey getting it back the other way. They find Fafita coming through. Fafita's going to be put down. Still about 12 metres out from the Gold Coast line. St George putting on a bit of pressure now. Penalty coming up.
Yeah, I think they have to go for 2 points, Bill. There's a lot of time left in this match, something like 15 minutes. Chance to reduce the deficit. But the penalties, have a look at that, 10-2 in favour of the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast got 8 of those penalties on the trot. Report here from the touch judge has nothing to do with this penalty, of course, given for inside the 5 metres. Ronnie Gibbs, this time the culprit.
Well, once a captain has been appointed for a match, David, that's it. He can't be replaced as captain unless he has been replaced. Then the referee can talk to the acting captain if he's issuing a caution. But in that case, it must have been Billy Johnson who was getting caution, because Ronnie Gibbs was the captain at the start of the match and does remain so until he leaves the field.
Let's see whether they can take it up. Here's the kickoff. Going to be taken back there by Higgins. He decides to run it out. Gets it up to 20 metres out from his own line. So away from dummy half over there is Mark Coyne. They eventually get him and drag him back a couple of metres, and he'll play it back there. Bailey from dummy half on to Peter Gill. Gill outside to Goulet. Taken ball and all though. French into the tackle. And so too is Mark Ross coming in. So here's Osborne on the shuffle. There's a few in there to give a helping hand.
Yes, no coincidence. He's been stirring the pot the whole time, and live by the sword and you'll die by it.
Well, Phil Daly was so pleased to see him. He ran about 5 yards to say hello with his shoulder. Here's the kick downfield now. Clinton Moore going across over there. Takes it. Runs across field. And still working their way through there is Meany. A couple of metres short of halfway. So now it's Gold Coast. In possession with Shaw. Decides to run it. And almost found his way through. Johnston from dummy half. He goes. Looks for support. Sends it back behind to Daly. Daly's going to be wrapped up though. Midway between the quarter and halfway. Still down in St George territory. Grogan getting it outside to Durham. Durham props. Sends it back over behind him to Clinton Moore running onto it. Final tackle. Johnson didn't know who to swing it to. Eventually Gibbs got it. Put it up high. Very high in fact. Higgins, or rather the fullback Potter going at it. And a penalty to St George.
Well, I thought Ron Gibbs had put the ball onside then, David.
Yes, I agree with you, Fordo. Once the kicker has come past the players that were in front of him at the time, he automatically puts them back onside. Perhaps the referee has decided that in a highly technical nature that Gibbs hadn't actually passed one of the Gold Coast players by the time they came inside that 5 metres, and in doing that those players have interfered with the receiver even though they haven't touched him at that time.
Tony Durkin, I hear I notice Ron Williams leaving the field. Replacement
in jersey number 46 is Ian Heron. Bill, he's a young fellow out of the President's Cup side for St George. Of course, they didn't play tonight, so he's a fresh replacement, and he played in the New South Wales under-21 side that beat Queensland down in Melbourne, I think, at the State of Origin.
Bill,
right.
I saw this young fellow play in the James Cook High side a couple of years ago. That's him in possession now. I cannot believe how he's filled out. He was a tall, gangly centre, and he's got to be close to 15 stone now.
He's quite a big lad. Dummy half is Linane. Long one over there to New. He in turn sends it away to Fafita. Lost the ball in the tackle. Tried to tow it through the Gold Coast. So that'll be another 6 tackles. They've lost it. And the referee to play the knock on.
So we're now into the final 10 minutes here at the Seagulls Stadium. And the Coast clinging to a slender lead. Scrum taking down 10 metres inside St George's end of the ground. Shaw away for Grogan. In turn for Clinton Moore. Back in the fullback role with Benson off the field. One of the hard-working forwards in this Gold Coast pack today has been Tony Durham, but I believe he's getting a bit of a break, Tony.
Tony Durham, who's had a fantastic game for the Seagulls tonight, lives to the sideline, been replaced by David Shackles.
Bailey down injured for St George at the moment as Daly takes the ball up for the Gold Coast. Johnston away for Shaw, out for Grogan. Held it up, gave a... No, well, I thought he'd unloaded the pass for French. It goes back for Paul Shaw. Out for McCarthy. Slipped the pass out the back door. Blistering pace of Clinton Moore. There's the little kick through by Billy Johnston. The chase is on as well. Well, nobody else supported him in the chase.
It's a dangerous practice too to give a fellow like Ricky Walford any room to move. St George will be a little bit disrupted at the moment. Trevor Bailey, normal dummy half, is down getting attention.
Now Osborne. Broke the first line. Got it away to Ricky Walford. Fullback to beat. But Clinton Moore and Paul Shaw were equal to the task.
Did it well too because they covered that inside pass.
And Osborne spills it.
He had a bit of a Captain Cook as well. That's why he dropped it. He did well there a little bit earlier to offload to Ricky Walford. But on this occasion, a chance to carry it on. And there you see it. He had definitely looked away. It's hard to coordinate the hands when you're not watching the football.
Been very, very impressed, David, with the cover defence of young Paul Shaw tonight.
Yes, he's certainly been there when required, and it's a sign of a good cover defender. You're not chasing across the field willy-nilly every time the ball goes, but you can sense a problem, and Paul Shaw has done that, and there's bad luck for Trevor Bailey as he leaves the field.
Yeah, the only player in the St George club to have played every game in first grade this year, Trevor Bailey, but leaving the field with about 8 minutes of play remaining. Now Johnston. Away for close. He's been really involved tonight, the big fella. Revelling in the conditions out there tonight. The Coast on the boil. That's Ross. Delayed the pass. Finally threw the dummy and took the tackle. That pass knocked down by St George. Play on, says the referee. And Osborne takes it 35 out from his own goal line.
Billy Johnson there took the odds to that one on that sixth tackle. Thought he could have a bit of a dash and still keep his options open, but the further he went, the tighter things got, and forced to throw a silly pass on that sixth tackle.
Gourlay. 12-10, those handling errors. Matt Elliott is a replacement. That's him and dummy half. Oh, that's a bad mistake by Fafita. He wasn't expecting the ball.
Well, there's also a message there that you always should be expecting the ball. You're right, Fordo Fafita there didn't even have his hands up in a position to receive. And you've really got to be on the alert at all times.
Well, a chance now for the Coast to put some pressure on. Chapman plays the ball for Johnston. It goes to Shaw. Darting to the run from the halfback. Was a very valuable member of that Manly squad in 1987 when they won the premiership. So was this man, Phil Daly, who came under the high tackle of Gill. Final tackle. Will we see it hoisted high? It goes back for Paul Shaw. The attempted drop goal is not on target.
Well, once again, I don't know the logic in it, really. Here's a chance for the Coast. They've got all the pressure on. They lead by 2 points. They don't want 1 point to get in front. They have a shot for field goal. It's been missed. Okay, it's a restart on the 22. That's not a good result at all. St George can turn the game around. Even if he got it, kickoff would have put the ball right down the other end of the field. I just think wrong tactics.
I think you agree, Wally. You were shaking your head when you saw it happen.
Yeah, I've got to agree with David right there. But if the field goal had been successful, then sure, they're 3 points in front. As David said, they're right back down in their own territory. If St George score 4 points, always beats them. They'd be far better off in employing tactics as Billy Johnson did before, and just putting the ball in behind the in goal, in behind the try line into the in goal area, and forcing a restart. It has the effect of demoralising the opposition, also wasting time and retaining possession as McCarthy splits them wide open.
Yeah, but good defence. 25 out from the try line, the Coast. Shaw looking for support, can't find it. Quick play the ball though, that's good play. Gibbs back for, it's loose on the ground. Grogan can't go with it. Whitbread tidies it up and takes it over the quarter line. Now Johnston. Now it's choppy close, got the pass away. French, that's the ball game.
Chris
Close set it up, French did the rest. The Gold Coast, I think, have the ball game all tied up.
Yes, you can put your glasses down now. There's been a great victory by the Gold Coast. Chris Close is born again. There's no doubt about that. This is the best game I've seen him play in many a year, playing up in the front row when it's really the hardest. And have a look at this for a charging, bullocking run, bumping, pushing, looking for support then. French snatches it nicely out of the air, goes across to get the points. The Gold Coast look like they've secured the victory.
Have with Chris Close here. As I mentioned before, Brett French, I regard him as one of the best gap hitters in the business, and he showed there in that area just why he's got a rating with me in that department, because he's always in support. There was a couple of other players that probably could have got there, but Brett French took it upon himself and certainly was there, and that is the end of the ball game, David.
There's the kick. He squeezed it inside that right-hand upright. And the Gold Coast lead by 8. Well, the Seagull has plenty to cheer about. So have the fans, and no doubt a sigh of relief from Bobby McCarthy. 3 wins out of the last 4, including 2 at home, and that's what they like, David.
Yes, it's been a long season for the Seagulls, and most importantly the coach, whereas St George here with a last-minute chance. Well, that should have been offside.
That's a bad bit of refereeing by referee Gona. New away for Osborne, popped it over the top. Good ball work. It's out for Walford. Nowhere to go there. It's loose on the ground. Fafita knocked it on. But the referee allowed play to go on.
Like a kids' game of football here, the Gold Coast are chasing everywhere. They're just chasing the football around the park. They're going to cover defend all over the park. Here they come.
Higgins leaves it behind. Billy Johnston. He knew there was 75 yards in front of him, so he took the tackle.
Yeah, he's not silly. That's experience for you. Billy Johnson used to be a 5'8" in his younger day. And as we said before, he's coming up near and about 280-odd first-grade games in Sydney Rugby League. Great effort by the veteran Billy Johnston.
Yes, he had the one season with St George and played all bar 1 game in that season, but over 100 first-grade appearances for the Canterbury side. Now McCarthy. Shaw will go to dummy half. I'll tell you what, David, I mentioned before, tries have been hard to come by for this Coast side, but some of the tries we've seen them score this year, there's been some great quality about them.
There's no doubt about that. We've seen in the first half when Ross scored the try, and that was a good break by Close and French, good ball handling. Here's St George trying a bit of fancy stuff. It's a bit late for that now, but Grogan scored a good try after coming through and showing good hands from the loose ball. And we saw there Chris Close once again, that last try, setting things up very nicely. So they've got the ability. It's been a long season for them, as I said. And one other red letter day for them was last weekend when they, for the first time in the Gold Coast career, they won in the Sydney metropolitan area. So it's been a good couple of weeks, and that man can feel very, very satisfied. He's very, very happy man, obviously. His side has come out with a win over St George, who would have been favourites tonight, and they've won it by 20 points to 12.
Yes, and in doing so have scored 3 tries to 2. And at this stage, the referee has not signalled full time from the penalty from the late tackle. The ball kicked across field. Oh, it's been knocked on. And the referee will blow full time finally at the Seagulls Stadium. But before we do, David Wright, let's look at the replay. You will see the knock on.
Yes.
3 tries to 2. Here it comes.
Here's the young fellow just trying to grab the ball there in Heron. He can't, he knocks it forward. And that's the final score now. The Gold Coast have run out winners by 20 points to 12.